Hey guys, how's it going? Today's video is going to be a discussion type one. You can leave it playing in the background if you do so wish to. There's probably not going to be anything too significant on screen. I can already see comments coming to the tune of how YouTubers in general are ruining Warframe, and of course I'm ruining Warframe by posting clickbaity stuff that's targeted towards hating DE in Warframe for views. Perhaps there is some truth to that, but that's an entirely separate discussion. What we're talking about today is how high mastery rank players like me speedrunning missions negatively affects the experience of lower rank or new players. Time to get ready for a spicy one. And just a gentle reminder that if you do enjoy regular Warframe content, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to turn on notifications so you don't miss any videos. One thing I'd like for you guys to keep in mind throughout this video is I'm not really trying to side with one party or the other. My intention is to share my own perspective with a couple of examples here and there so that you could form your own opinion. Don't have to agree with me either. Right? Let's go. For those of you who are not aware that this is an issue, imagine joining a public capture, exterminate, or lith fisher mission as a mastery rank 3 player, only to end up playing catch up towards extraction. Even though you loaded in the same time as all the other, probably much higher MR players, you end up with nothing to do as they bulldozed through the entire mission before you could even get halfway. This is most apparent if you get paired with a Saren or Gauss user, for example. And yes, this is an actual thing that new players find annoying. I've seen it in the forums, and I've personally gotten comments in game of how I'm gonna end up getting everyone else kicked because I nuked the entire map with the Gaussette, leaving no enemies for them to kill. Yes, that is not accurate, but I swear people don't like it when I clear maps. That's not a flex. Now, while there is little reason for a high MR to run a regular Earth mission on public, lith fishers are a thing, and it is very common to have a mix of low to high and even really high MR players, the legendary ranks, in those sorts of missions. I personally don't mind other players bulldozing through missions actually, because I usually join public squads for the sake of saving as much time as possible. When I'd like to play for fun, I switch to solo. But even then, sometimes I do join squads, like when I used to play lots of arbitrations. I confess that I do not really know how the new player experience fares currently. I'm too lazy to create a separate account just to play for like 20 minutes at most. My point is, as a new player who just downloaded Warframe excitedly, having the gameplay part of the game being taken away from you is probably not going to add to your enjoyment. I mean, why bother playing when all you're doing, for the most part, is just staring at a loading screen? And this is especially true for players on older systems like PS4s, for example. Plenty of those out there, and they absolutely get destroyed by a modern budget laptop even when it comes to loading times. Not dissing on PS4s, it's just the progress of technology. My point is, not everyone has or could afford a modern day gaming machine, especially when mid-range is $600 and low end is probably going to be like $300 at best. Anyways, that's part of Warframe's popularity, right? Being able to run on potatoes. For now, at least. We await the Duviri. So, should high mastery rank players just lock themselves into solo mode to prevent ruining other people's enjoyment of Warframe, or should new players, or any player for that matter, lock themselves into solo mode if they'd like to enjoy Warframe? There are some even stronger opinions out there. You gotta admit that it does make some sense that if you'd like to play something for enjoyment, you should probably remove external factors or other players from your game session, unless you like getting trolled or aimbotted, or in the case of Warframe, made to feel useless, right? On the opposite end, players who want to play missions just to get them done as quickly as possible should eliminate external factors or other players from their game sessions, unless they like waiting at extraction for the mastery rank 2 default color excal. The counter to both of these arguments is that some missions, like low-level fishers, are best run in squads for easing the RNG grind, and these missions are speedrun or speedran because they are on a timer. You want to prioritize efficiency over fun here, just makes sense. The counter to that counter is that some game modes are really designed around co-op, like the new mirror defense mission. You can still play them in solo mode and maybe even enjoy them, but the grind can get unbearable, and then you end up impacting your enjoyment of Warframe. maybe there is no winning here. But yeah, I don't think it's unfair to assume that new players could also appreciate some help, as they probably don't have all the high-end gear to allow them to solo missions on Fortuna or Deimos, for example. They sure as heck don't have the gear for Tridolons, and the funny thing is, we probably see the inverse in Eidolon hunts, where new players are probably not very welcome. I certainly wasn't when I started out, though a big part of that is probably my fault, but if you go in with an Excalibur, yeah. Though with the craziness that is Archon shards and helmet system, now who knows? Alright, who do we blame? Do we blame the new players for being noobs, veterans for being inconsiderate snobs, or do we blame DE for not balancing the game well? Again, I personally find game modes like Arbitrations more enjoyable with other players, but I've also enjoyed playing in solo mode. I remember doing a 2-hour-long stint of Corpus Disruption on Lua with a Chroma and Redeemer Prime. This was a while back. That's not to say I don't understand each side's argument. I don't see an easy solution aside from completely redesigning how public missions work in Warframe. Personally, I've tried being more considerate in public missions. For example, if I'm running Gauss in a sortie or Archon hunt, I hold back from spamming Thermal Sunder. But then someone else is already doing that as a Gauss, Ember, or Saren, or some other nuke frame. Yeah. Maybe we get rid of nuke frames? Please feel free to share your own thoughts on this down in the comments. I'd love to read them. Please also be considerate to other people's preferences. You can hate on me, I guess, but all I ask is to think about how the game looks from the other person's view before typing out mean stuff in game. Less collective hate and suffering, the better. Right, insert typical outro stuff here, the like and subscribe that I wish I didn't have to do, but you just gotta if you're in the game, right? It would really help me out, guys. Appreciate it as always. Thanks so much for watching. Have a good day.